It is July, and if you now come to my garden, you will see that my Prunus Mume, or the Japanese apricots, are fairly bare. Now this looks like it has a lot of leaves because there's a lot of branches, but most branches only have 1 or 2 leaves. And that is on purpose. It is not because I want more sunlight on the inside, but it has to do with the balance between flowers and leaves. I have 2 more Japanese apricots, and I'll bring both of them out in this video as well a little bit later to show you in detail what I mean. But let's get started on the balance between flowers and leaves. What happens with the Japanese apricot is that at every bud where the leaf is left on, a flower bud will develop. And typically no leaves, no branches will develop from the ones where you leave on the leaf, except for the top 1 or 2 buds. Now the reverse is also true. So places where there's no leaves typically are able to create a side branch. And this is important because we all know Japanese apricots typically are difficult to ramify. They don't like creating new side branches. So by removing the leaves early on, you stimulate the buds here to be vegetative buds rather than flower buds. Later in the season, if you then prune your tree, the tree is stimulated to start budding here on these branches. Now this tree typically is very good at creating side branches. This particular variety, I don't know what it's called, has been able to create lots of side branches. Now it's been standing a little bit in a dark spot, so you see some dead branches, but you can tell by the quite good ramification on this tree, yeah, it responds quite well. Now let me get one of the bigger trees and I'll show you what has happened over the last couple of weeks after I pruned my Prunus Mume. Now with this one it is quite clear there are not a lot of leaves. And that is not just because of the defoliation, but also because 1, 2, 3 of my main branches died in early spring. This tree was sitting in a corner, I didn't have a spot on the table and it was just sitting between other trees. And well, this is the result. You very quickly start to lose branches. So keep your Prunus Mume, your Japanese apricot, in sun. They really need sun to do well. In early spring, what I did, I removed, as said, the first 2 leaves. No, I don't think I said. So in early spring, I removed the first 2 leaves here on this branch. Then I let the branch extend. 3 weeks ago, so late June, that's when I pruned back all the new growth to the first 2, 3, or in strong cases, like here on top, the last leaf. This triggers a response in the tree to start pushing for branches. And where does it push for branches? Exactly on those places where you've removed the leaves. So these become side branches that you can then use to further develop your tree. Now because this one was sitting in the shade for most of spring, it wasn't all that strong and therefore the backbudding response is not all that clear. But I can show you another tree, a third tree, where the backbudding response is very clear. I'll pull that out in a second. But if we look at this tree, up here and up there you see the first hints of a pink bud. And that is what you see happening right there. And actually here all the way in the back there is the first branch starting to grow. Right there. And also here you see this little bud appearing on a place where there's no leaf. Yet here where there is a leaf, there's absolutely no bud forming. One downside of this method is visible here. But you can tell here there's lots and lots of buds popping. You might say that's excellent because that will aid in fattening the trunk and it can help you later on reduce. Maybe you get some more here on the trunk, but no. What you can also tell here is that there's a discoloration between this part of the trunk and that part of the trunk. That's a very clear sign that even though the seller originally told me when it was still up to here in the ground, this is cutting grown, it actually is not. It has been grafted upon another type of Prunus. I don't know what one. Anyway, for me it's now time to remove all these little suckers here off the trunk. But before I do all that, let's look at why we actually got this tree out of storage. Let's look here at the branches. And this one is so tall that I'm actually running out of backdrop. But you can tell here quite easily, look at all these buds that have formed. But still also if you remove the leaves, it is predominantly at the end of the branches that they do pop. So it is always a good idea to prune quite early on, so you get lots of backbuds. But here, there's a nice budding. And this tree is nice and healthy. So you see also here on the inside there's a little bud. There's lots of small buds forming. And also all the way here up the branches there are buds popping. So this is a way that you can aid in developing ramification. It looks very extreme, but look at the response that you're getting. And of course you can see all these branches were wired. I find that in the middle to late summer, the younger branches of Prunus Mume are quite flexible. So this is a 2-year-old branch with this year's growth here at the end. And I can quite easily manipulate those. One little branch here has died off, but fortunately the other side branch here is still alive. This will set until winter, and then hopefully in early spring, very late winter, when it is unwired, it will look really, really nice, full of pink flowers. What you see here at the bottom is a little Prunus Mume that I rooted from a cutting last fall. And will they root? Any thoughts? Drop me a comment. If you have success with taking Prunus Mume cuttings, let me know how you did it. The cuttings, the first batch, all died. Later in summer, however, these are about to flower. And this year it grew well, but then the slugs passed by and, well, see what's left of these leaves, not much. But if I then lift the pot, look at that. Maybe I should do a little video at one point about escape roots, because this is cool. Also here in the top you see little buds starting to push again. So, yeah. In case you are wondering how do I root these, let me know down below in the comments and I'll pop a video on it. Alright, back to removing all these buds. But you can tell here these occur almost at the soil line or below. And it's important to get them away as deep as possible, because the more you leave, the faster they come back. And unfortunately this is something that on grafted trees is important. If you don't take these away, they sap away the energy from the top, and slowly the top gets weaker and might even completely die off. So this is something that I do all season. I look at my trees, and whenever there are suckers at the base or anywhere else, I remove them. Let's look at the other side. This is actually now a clump, and I should use bud cutters, but I only have my concave one here. Right now I've removed lots and lots of the buds that were occurring here. This can now heal over again, but I should actually take a concave cutter and take a dimple out. Quite often laziness doesn't pay off, so I got myself my concave cutters to really deepen that cut a little bit so it heals over more easily, or if it doesn't, it is less visible. Now I will put cut paste on there because here low on the trunk I actually want the wound to heal. This is just a liquid cut paste, nothing special. Same story on this side of the trunk, right? Just remove them where possible, and if not, cut them off. Here again, quite a lot of material, quite a lot of plant mass. Try to reduce that a little bit so it doesn't backbud all that easily. Just rub this one away. All done. This was just a very short update on Prunus Mume, how to get ramification and what they look like in summer. Not much to say, but this was Jelle. Keep growing bonsai. See you next time.